Good morning. You're watching the DMZ America Podcast for Thursday, January 8th, 2026. Coming to you from the left, I'm editorial cartoonist Ted Rall. Scott Stantis, you are muted. Demute, please. You're still muted.
How did that happen?
There you go.
I will not be muted, sir. I will not be muted. I paid for this microphone.
Scott can't hear you.
Oh, seriously?
Oh, my God.
No, I can hear him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, there he is. Well, I hear you.
And you're muted.
There you are. I hear you. That was very strange. Okay.
I paid for this microphone. That's a reference only old guys like us might remember. I'm Scott Stantis, coming to you from the crumbling, decrepit, inarticulated right.
Well, I
was wondering where that was going.
We've got you beat there on the left. Joining us today is former editorial cartoonist for the soon-to-be former Pittsburgh Post-Gazette, Rob Rogers. Thanks for joining us, Rob.
Sure. Happy to be here, guys. I wish it was under better circumstances, but
Indeed,
there aren't very many of those these days.
No, there really aren't.
So obviously, look, this is we're going to talk about the big implications here. This is the biggest newspaper closure in modern U.S. history.
Well, I read one thing that said 20 years. Tampa Tribune, or not 20 years, but Tampa Tribune in 2016 was the last big daily. I think maybe.
But they were bought out by the St. Pete at the time.
Right. So there's still a newspaper in Tampa. That's the thing. That's the difference. Here there will be no newspaper.
And the Alt Weekly went under a week ago.
But that was
really
Block put it under. He bought it a few years ago and then just killed it. I think he killed it. I mean, I have no proof of any of this, but I assume that he was planning to make this announcement about the Post-Gazette, and so he decided to get rid of that first. But
Rob, there was a suburban paper that moved into that market for a while.
Yeah, went back in 1992. This is aging me, but I was at the Pittsburgh Press, and we had an 8-month newspaper strike where both the Post-Gazette and the Pittsburgh Press, who were in a joint operating agreement, went out on strike for 8 months. There was no newspaper in town. So the suburban newspaper, the Tribune Review, which was a conservative, conservative paper owned by Dick Scaife, who was a very, outspoken Republican right winger. He came in and created a Pittsburgh version of the paper, basically just slapped Pittsburgh on the front of the masthead. But that lasted for years. Even after the Post-Gazette came back as the only newspaper left after the press ended up selling after that 8-month strike. So then we were sort of head-to-head competitors for a little while. They went digital, I want to say in 2020, maybe. I'm not sure exactly, but they don't even have a print publication in town anymore. And their staff is basically half of what, maybe not even half of what the Post-Gazette had. So there really is no major newspaper presence in the city when they leave.
And I know it's not just the city, right, Rob? It's also it's the biggest media organization in Western Pennsylvania.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there is nothing, except for, I don't know about the Erie newspaper, but there really isn't anything close by. So we have a couple of things like Public Source, Pittsburgh Public Source, and a couple of websites, but nothing major like the newspaper was.
Let me ask you, Rob, and I like I said, I know you don't have any insider information, but the blocks being the blocks and being rich. Oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Ted, I think motherfuckers. Yeah. Anyway,
Ted, you choose.
The fact that I've known of two papers in the Tucson Citizen in the in the Rocky Mountain News when they just shut down. When both shut down, dude, they just shut down. It was like the announcement was like on a Wednesday or a Thursday, and then Friday was it. Mm-hmm. This isn't going to happen until May.
May 3rd.
Which
I don't
tells me,
I don't know why.
stay with me. The only thing I can figure is, and this isn't, I think, preposterous, is that this is trying to strong arm the unions, which is what they're blaming this on, and saying that, okay, we're going to just shut it down. And the unions are going to go back and go, well, hell, we can either renegotiate a contract that's enforced now, and the courts have said you have to, pay your contracts. Which again, apparently, rich guys don't feel they have to do this.
Yeah, I guess that's just it. They don't have to obey the law. Yeah,
yeah, it's weird. Well, let's be clear.
they normally don't. Yeah.
But I'm just wondering if this isn't a move by the Block family to just strong arm the union to the negotiating table and then have a last minute or last month reprieve. The long delay at closing just doesn't pass the smell.
That's
There's something going on.
That's an interesting theory. I had a friend who also posited that maybe this was a way to break the union, and maybe they would come back with another version of the paper. But that one I highly doubt, because I know the Blocks, and I know that one of them, Alan in Toledo, from what I've heard, doesn't really like the newspaper business. John Block does, and he's the one that is, the editor or the publisher of the Post-Gazette. So I don't know if they got rid of the paper. I can't imagine that they would come back with a non-union version of the paper, because that's not where they were losing the money, really. I mean, I don't think that had anything to do with. I mean, yes, this ruling by the judge that said they had to honor the old contract and everything, is going to cost them money, and they spend so much money, in legal fees. So who knows? But no, I think it's more just the logistics of spending millions on a newspaper, losing millions. I mean, they were losing money when I was there too, so it's not like a surprise that they've been losing the money for this long. But this feels vindictive, the timing of it.
Yeah.
It feels like they're just there to say, give a big FU to not only to the labor, the unions, but also to the city.
Why to the city?
Well, but by closing the paper, you're saying "fuck you" to the city. I mean,
yeah.
I
well,
mean,
yeah, but what did Pittsburgh ever do to the Blocks?
Not buy enough papers.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
probably that's it. But it's also, Pittsburgh is notoriously a blue collar labor pro-union town. So I think, they've never liked the unions. But the interesting thing was when I first came to Pittsburgh and I joined the Pittsburgh Press, that was a Scripps Howard paper, and they were non-union, which was odd. But they had a joint operating agreement with the Post-Gazette, which was a guild paper. So it was a very odd, sort of thing. And then the Press, being the bigger paper, ended up being the one that folded during that strike, and so the union paper. Now, I never joined the guild because the editorial page was exempt in the contract, and they felt that the editorial page was more management than labor, so they didn't add us to it. But yeah, that I would have joined the guild in a minute if I had a chance. But yeah, it's very sad. I mean, it's very sad to see all my colleagues who spent 3 years on strike and picketing out in front of John Block's house, and all these things that they did, and to finally win in court, to substantially go back to work in November, only to have this announcement made yesterday. It's really sad.
It is very sad. Now, who knew that Toledo could actually be the last paper?
I know they're gonna. That's the crazy thing, is to think the Toledo Blade is going to survive, but
one of America's great newspapers. That's the masthead. I love.
Well, that's the masthead of the Post-Gazette too. They.
Oh, really?
Is that right?
Yeah, I think it may have been the Post-Gazette. I don't know who had it first, but it seems like it was one that they brought back when they relaunched the Post-Gazette in 1993 after the strike. they brought that old masthead back, and I don't remember the history of it, whether it was an old Post-Gazette thing or but they, the crazy thing is,
I think it was a Toledo Blade thing, because growing up in Dayton, I remember going to Toledo, and seeing that, we all laughed.
Mm-hmm. Well, when they started it, at the Post-Gazette in '93, we all laughed too, and we all sort of started calling it one of America's newspapers.
I mean, they're not aiming real high, right?
No. So,
well, you notice I'm not jumping in on this because I work at a newspaper where the slogan is "the world's greatest newspaper."
Well,
so
there you go.
Chicago
but
Tribune,
they're at least ambitious.
Well, then they may have had a claim once in a while to say that. That's when you see WGN, by the way, the radio station WGN TV. That's what WGN stands for: world's greatest newspaper.
Oh my God!
Yes,
that's hilarious.
When we were all one big happy family. Yeah, no, it's true. My old newspaper, the Birmingham News, no longer has a print edition, but they do have a online presence with a newsroom of 10 people. They're really become just non-entities. So maybe Block has a point of just saying goodbye and walking away. I mean, does this create any kind of vacuum in Pittsburgh? I mean, obviously it creates a vacuum, but is there one that can be filled? Not necessarily by a print edition. You mentioned some other news sites that have popped up.
Yeah, I mean, well, the Public Source has been around for years, and they do some really good journalism. There was a small alt weekly or twice a month, but it had an online presence, newspaper that was started.
Oh.
But that I was a part of for a year, but they folded fairly quickly just due to finances. So I think it's hard. It's very hard to start something like this. But yeah, I think in the vein of some of these other nonprofit news organizations, the Texas Tribune and others who have made a success of it, I think there's definitely room for that here, and I would hope that somebody would pick that up and run with it.
Yeah, the metro area of Pittsburgh is almost 3 million people. I mean, it's not a small market. It's a shame because Pittsburgh is a phenomenal city and it doesn't deserve this. What happened in New Orleans? The same. I mean, well, I guess you had the suburban paper. That's why I brought up the suburban paper earlier. Is a suburban paper. I think the Advocate was for Baton Rouge, moved into New Orleans, and then the Newhouse family, which owned the Birmingham News, where I used to work, decides to go. Oh, we're only going to go 3 days a week, and it devastated the city because just 10 months before this, the newspaper and the people had gone through Katrina together. The newsroom stayed in New Orleans. They worked, in really heinous conditions, but they stuck it out. And so the connection they made with that community was rock solid. And then the Newhouse just go, oh, that goodwill we built up? Fuck you. We're only going to come out 3 times a week. And then the Advocate came in and just wiped them out. And it's one of the few newspapers Newhouse has ever sold. They sold out to the Advocate. So now it's called the Advocate States Item, or the Advocate Times Picayune.
Picayune, maybe?
Yeah, long. And what's a Picayune, gentlemen?
It's something that comes out every day.
Penny, right?
It's a penny. Very good, Rob.
Oh, I thought it's something that came out every day.
No, Picayune means it's a penny. It was a penny. It was
probably cost a penny back
like
then.
An old Spanish penny or whatever.
Yeah, no, French. Of course. Remember who we bought it from.
It is New Orleans. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gutted by news like this, just because we all came up in the business. I talked to Ted when he walked into the newsroom of the Dayton Daily News a million years ago, and it was magic. Mm-hmm. It was just magic. Now the first paper you worked for, Rob, was the Pittsburgh Press, right?
It was the Pittsburgh Press. Yeah,
wow.
we had a big editorial staff, 10 or 15 people. And we used to have editorial meetings every day, and we'd sit in those and talk about the issues. And it actually was a really big paper, and it was the larger paper. It was the afternoon paper because blue collar town, for whatever reason, I don't necessarily understand it, but I guess you go to the mills in the morning, it's too early to read the paper. So you get it in the afternoon when you get home. But that was the bigger paper. And it's funny, it was a slightly more conservative, even though it wasn't really conservative, it was more moderate. But the Morning Post-Gazette was sort of the Pittsburgh's version of the New York Times. They would run all the liberal stuff. So yeah, I mean, it was great having that competition between the two papers too, because
they had a cartoonist too, Tim Manise.
Tim Manise was the cartoonist at the Post-Gazette at the time, and we used to compete every day to see who would get the story first. To get the cartoon in, which was fun. One day we drew the exact same cartoon on the same. I mean, it was unbelievable.
What was it?
It was. I think it was. God, now I think it was Gorbachev getting like the Nobel Peace Prize or something, and somebody saying, "Is it edible?" Because they were having food lines and stuff. And he did something almost exactly the same. It was just hilarious. But yeah.
How did that become a public thing?
Oh, no. We just laughed about it, because we both, I mean, how many times does that happen in our industry? A lot. People come up with the same idea and they draw it the same day or the next day or whatever. But yeah, I mean, it was just funny. And then when the Post-Gazette sort of absorbed the press, they kept me. And so we had two cartoonists for 12 years. We had two cartoonists at a newspaper, which is unheard of.
Wow. Was that, it sounds like it could be fun.
Although it used to not be unheard of at all, but.
It used to be. I mean, the Chicago Tribune, you had like three, didn't you?
The terrible trio from Tennessee is what.
I think the New York Times in 1950 had four.
And now they have
Zip. Zed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they fire cartoonists for cartoons they didn't draw. I mean, that's
right. They're very thorough in that way.
That's just a level of bullshittery that's hard to reach.
Rob, you were notoriously fired for criticizing Trump from the Post-Gazette. Do you feel? I mean, do you have any mixed feelings about all this, or is it just sorrow for what happened?
No, it's mostly sorrow. I mean, all the bitterness that I had about the thing is, I never had bitterness towards the newspaper and the staff. It was always towards the management, and they were the ones that mistreated me. It was nobody. I mean, John Block was the one who fired me, and he hired the editor who came in from Toledo, one of America's great newspapers, to be my editor and crack down on me, basically to be his, his Michael Cohen or whatever you want to call him, his hitman. But so those two people were the only ones that I had any bitterness towards, because they made my life miserable, and then they fired me. But no, I mean, the newspaper.
Would you have wanted your fellow staffers to walk out in sympathy, or is that just like not part of the culture?
Yeah, I mean, because the editorial page wasn't, it wasn't really a part of the culture in the sense that I was always sort of a solo actor. I mean, and I think most cartoonists are. Yeah. I don't really consider myself in the same vein as some of the journalists that work there, not from a professional standpoint, but just from the idea that, when an editor gives you something to write about, you go and you write about it. And when they edit your story, you have to just live with it. And the cartoonist's job was different. And they always made it clear to me that, I could draw whatever I wanted. And if they didn't like it, they would kill it. But I didn't have to necessarily change it if I didn't believe in it. And that was always what we worked through, that was the theme we worked with for 25 years. But in terms of people walking out, no, I really didn't expect that, but they did support me. I mean, many of them, expressed their opinions, and they had a meeting in the newsroom where they all kind of pushed back on them for doing it. But so I got a lot of support. But no, I didn't expect anybody to walk out, especially because I was not, I wasn't union, so there was no way to really protect me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I kind of feel. I mean, I've been screwed over by a couple of papers, and whenever they, the Orange County Register is one of them, and when they've hit some obviously hard times, and I don't take a lot of joy. First off, because it's been bought and sold by so many people now, it doesn't really. The bad guys are all gone, and some dead. So I win.
Scott, the fact that they found like a number 2.5 rapidograph pen in their necks is probably going to catch up with you at some point.
It could, but I'm just hoping that they have the same level of intelligence as some of the other law enforcement officers in this great country of ours. Rob, that's well put. I think, there are people who went out of their way to screw you over and hurt you, and I'm so sorry. And now they're doing this, and they're hurting a whole lot of people, including an entire city. Yeah, which is a level of buffoonery and hurtfulness that we've come to expect from Trump supporters.
Well, so in keeping with my normal role in life, let's make things even darker.
Okay.
It feels to me like this is not.
I just gloated about people being dead, so top that, Rall.
Yeah, I will try. I'll see what I can do. I don't think this is the end of. I mean, we're going to see a lot more of this, and I think we're going to see it. We're not going to be waiting another 8 years to see another high-profile closure. I think the floodgates are about to open. We're going to see a lot of closures. What are some of the? Are there any markets in particular that we could expect, like, to see newspapers go under?
Oh, I think Los Angeles, the Times, certainly. Yeah. You've got Dr. Pat, and he's,
one of my favorite people.
I know. But I'm looking at what he's doing with the paper. He's losing. It's hemorrhaging money. And he's trying a bunch of things that aren't going to work. I can't speak to Chicago is a really interesting town. The Sun-Times was purchased by Chicago Media, public media, the one that owns NPR and runs the PBS station in town. Well, I don't know if you boys heard, but the funding for those things got a little.
Although I have to admit, guys, granted, I only worked in banking for 5 years, but I don't understand, like, they only got 1.5% of their funding from the federal government. I mean, most organizations can absorb a 1.5% funding cut.
Well, that's some of them. Here, for instance, in Birmingham, Alabama, I think the percentage was somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 12%. That would be a hit. But let's be honest. If you
like here, it's 10%. I think for the local radio station.
It varies, and we've all heard about
the rural stations are in deep shit.
They are in very deep shit. That's why I thought it was. I always felt that I've always advocated that public broadcasting step away from being funded by the federal government, because it was always a whipping boy for the Republicans, always, which I thought was, what kind of a waste of time, because we mentioned there are radio stations. There's one in central Alaska, and it's the only media period there. So, I don't know when there's a bear blizzard or whatever the hell they have.
Just going to make that joke. Yeah. Well, I mean, there can be natural disasters in central Alaska for sure.
Right. But getting back to Chicago, the Sun-Times was bought. They didn't merge the newsrooms, which is still head scratching to me. The turf wars continue even then. So the Sun-Times could close, could be bought by Aldrich or Aldrin, which is a hedge fund which owns the Chicago Tribune. Aldrin. I'm not sure what's happening there.
I mean, I guess it might be easier. Like, this reminds me, during the blizzard of 1978, I remember listening to the schools closures, and at some point the DJ came on and said, if anything's open, can you just call the station? Are there any papers that are safe from closure? I mean, obviously Wall Street Journal, New York Times, Washington Post, but are any other, like, smaller market papers? Yeah, don't worry, they'll be around for another 10 years.
I'm getting the sense of the really small market papers, not just even medium, like, say, Dayton or, Austin or someplace, medium-sized market. I think small market papers seem to be doing okay. And if they're not owned by a chain, if Gannett isn't trying to weasel 30% profit out of you, which they do, I was speaking with another cartoonist who works in Springfield, Illinois. Guess how big the staff is in the Springfield newspaper today? Just take a wild guess, guys.
12.
I was going to say 10.
8. 8 people covering the state government of Illinois, one of the biggest
But
states.
8 very hardworking people.
Oh, those guys! You joke, but you got to know their days are long.
True.
Well, a few years ago, I went into the Commercial Appeal in Memphis, and it's a massive building, and literally there were like 10 people there. That was it. I mean, it was just depressing.
What were you doing in Memphis? What did you do?
Now. I don't remember now.
Opioid. He's selling opioids.
Well, it is America. It is America's distribution center. That's what it says on the welcome sign.
That's right. That's right. No, I can't remember why I went to Memphis, but this was a, gosh, maybe.
Did you speak at Memphis State, perhaps, or?
No, I'll remember maybe.
How do you
by the end
remember
of the
going to Memphis? It's just one of those places you remember. It's like, because you're lucky from the airport.
Usually because you've been carjacked.
Yeah, the drive-in from the airport is one of the most frightening drive-ins
because it's in the trunk
in America.
Yeah,
because
you're in the trunk. You're in the trunk of your own car. You don't really get to see a lot.
Yeah, the commercial
that actually happened during a newspaper convention. I went to the AAN, which was the Alternative Newspapers Convention in Memphis. One of our editors was carjacked and kidnapped and taken out and almost killed. Yeah.
What city was that in Memphis?
It was in Memphis. I don't remember what town the editor was from. Yeah.
I got to tell a quick story. Rob was there I left to take a job in Arizona, and I was having a going away party and drank far too much. I don't know if you remember this. I promised myself I'd never take a tour of Graceland until I was leaving. And so I was leaving. So Rob and I took the tour the next morning, and I was, oh my God, I was so hungover. Oh my God.
I remember that.
But that's appropriate.
And we got to the
people who go to Graceland are
well, if you're not when you see the jungle room, I looked at Rob, I said, this room looks how I feel.
He was spinning.
It took a lot of effort not to vomit on the grave of the king.
That's not good.
No, it was bad. It was bad.
Oh man.
So, going forward and the impact on editorial cartooning. Now when they let you go, Rob, they had hired Steve Kelly. They recently let him go. Mm-hmm. And I guess they were using a freelancer in the area.
I don't know what his arrangement is, but a local cartoonist, Tim Hartman, was hired. And so he's been their staff cartoonist. Now, I don't know if it's a contract or if it's if he gets benefits or any of that stuff. I don't really know, but he's been there. So now he's going to be out of a job too. So, and it was very short lived for him. I think maybe 2 years.
So this is going on. I mean, Ted alludes to more and more closures. And I think you're right, Ted. You're going to see just outright closures like this across the country in places that are rather shocking. The Oregonian is now, I believe if they haven't curtailed or stopped the print edition, they're going to. So it's going to be an online presence only. Down in Sacramento, God knows what's happening there. Are there any papers that are safe? I don't know. I'd say the New York Times for now is making, and the Wall Street Journal, both are making money.
Washington Post.
What about the Post? Yeah.
I don't know about that. I mean, if this is true,
Jeff looks like he's getting bored.
Well, not just bored, but these guys, I mean, that old line from Citizen Kane, I could lose $1 million this year. I expect to lose $1 million next year. At this rate, I'll have to close down the newspaper in 60 years. But rich guys, and nobody wants to just shovel money into this project. And Ted,
they used to not care.
Yeah, well, they didn't, but there was always money there too. It's easy not to care if you're making 30% profit. But at this stage,
blocks were doing it for 20 years. I mean, they say that in their resignation letter or whatever, but that is true. I mean, because I was at some of those meetings where they told the staff, well, we're going to have to make some cuts because we lost this many millions. I mean, and it was believable. I mean, now whether they were moving money around or something, I don't know, but
it's not a publicly traded company, though. So.
No, it's a privately owned. It's a family business.
So we don't really know.
In fact, the family has owned it for almost 100 years.
Wow.
So yeah, I find it strange that's why that it just feels vindictive, because if they had really cared about the money, they would have done this years ago, you know.
Rob, does this, and I want to pick your brain about, there's been some news lately about Trumpy stuff, but what, does this create a vacuum in Western Pennsylvania for either an online news, like one of those websites created by former PG staffers, or some other model or a new alt weekly or something? People in Western Pennsylvania need news. I mean,
Yeah.
is there a vacuum now that could be filled?
I think so. When the striking workers went out, one of the reasons that it was a less successful strike than it could have been is because some of the staffers stayed behind and dropped out of the union, which I didn't know you could do, but apparently that was a legal thing.
And they went on strike from their union.
Yeah, they went on strike from the union. So they quit the union and stayed at the paper. So when I don't know how many it was originally, 50 to something, people went out, I mean, it was less effective because of that. But they did start their own online strike paper and called the Pittsburgh Union Progress. And their coverage was limited. I mean, they were covering mostly local high school sports and some local issues. But they did a nice job. They got some traction from people. They started an online audience. So there's some discussion. I know people have been calling for them to bring that back, so I don't know if that, because they ended it on the day that they went back to work in November.
Makes sense. Sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, sure. There are definitely places for something like that to come back. It's really all about revenue, and how do you support something like that, in terms of, like, if you're going to hire real journalists and get real news, you gotta have money to do it. And so I don't know where the revenue comes from. That's the only thing.
Well, let's dovetail into our, area of actual expertise, and that's cartooning. And where does this leave cartooning? And what do you see? What does 2026 and the future hold for this profession?
I mean, I pretty much think it's dead. Speaking of dead people, no, I mean,
dead man walking. The three of them.
Yeah, I was going to say this is going to be a short conversation. So.
Yeah, it's very short. No, I think that it's evolving, certainly, and there are people finding success online and in crowdfunding situations like Substack and Patreon, but that's where I ended up when I got fired. So I think that those are not real, like, journalistic endeavors. I mean, they are in some ways, because people follow you, but and I guess that's the same as a subscription to a newspaper, right? So it's not that different, but it feels different because it's not aggregated. You don't have a one place to get everything. You're picking and choosing, like in the grocery store. You're not getting all your news from one source, like you did with the newspaper. So I think as far as cartooning, I think that there are definitely going to be places like that, but yeah, I don't think it's going to be the same kind of local presence that it used to be. I mean, so the thing that I loved about cartooning in Pittsburgh was the local cartoons and drawing about the Steelers or drawing about, local politics, which was always interesting. And there's a lot of unique things about Pittsburgh that, other cities don't have or wouldn't understand, but that's part of the beauty of it. And I think that's lost. I think that's totally lost. And I mean, it would take somebody coming up with some sort of online newspaper to do that locally.
Yeah, agreed.
So, we talked about the conspiracy theory that maybe the Block family is basically trying to coerce the unions into giving them a deal, and that's why they're giving them 4 months of runway before the close, which made me, which I thought was a nice segue to how Trump is trying to coerce the government of Venezuela and perhaps the government of Colombia and maybe Cuba into doing his bidding, basically just by idle threats. I mean, 2 days ago, Gustavo Petro of Colombia was told to watch his ass. Now he's got an invite to the White House, which if I were him, I might not accept because I'd be worried that it might be a one-way ticket.
Right.
But so we should talk about what happened. I mean, basically, Donald Trump went full spectrum George W. Bush a week ago and toppled the government of Venezuela. We didn't topple the government. He kidnapped the president and left the government in place. And it's super. I mean, it just sort of leads to a lot. It feels a lot like 2003, where George, I mean, I had this book project that I never sold, but it was called Bush's Other Wars. And it was about all the other regime change projects that he did that nobody ever talked about, like Kyrgyzstan, Belarus, places like that. This is Trump's doing them out in the open. It just feels like we're in a really fucking weird place now. And I'm saying this a year into Donald Trump, but we're in a really weird place.
No, because there's no ramp up to this. I mean, even, and I, to my shame, supported it. And Rob and I had many vigorous discussions about the buildup to the Iraq War. But there was a buildup. They built a case. This was just like, this guy, we know.
Stuck it in.
No.
I mean, the buildup was basically just lies about, the WMDs, but still, you're right. There was some, on-ramping of it.
A year of propaganda.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. But this was we're just going to go in and so now we kidnap. We just
over a holiday weekend when nobody was even paying attention.
Right. And now we've just stopped the fourth or fifth ship of oil. I mean, so now apparently we're pirates.
Yeah.
And apparently we've shaken down the Venezuelans for billions of dollars of oil. That they're
shaken down. I think they're just taking the oil, I think is all it's going to be, right? I mean, aren't they Trump just says, we're going to just take the oil and sell it ourselves.
They had a conference this last couple of days with the major oil companies. This will shock you guys, not at all. With the major oil companies, what do you want to do? We'll let you guys go into Venezuela and take over these fields, which are only producing at 20 to 25% capacity. The problem, it's 20 to 25%. Let's get really in the weeds here and say that the crude of Venezuela is very viscous. It's very thick. It's very hard to process. It takes, so here, can I just throw out my conspiracy theory now? And because
I've got my own.
I think you and I probably agree, Ted, is that they went in because there's oil there. This administration is looking to just get obliterated in the midterms. How do you, and it's the economy. And you can have the president go out there as often as he wants and say, things are good. Everything's great. I can still crap in a gold toilet. But that's not you and I go out to dinner and it's $100 for two of us. We know and see. So how do you what's the fastest way to cut down inflation is to cut down gas prices and fuel prices. I think he saw this as we go in there, we take their oil, gas prices go down to $1.10 a gallon and I win the midterms. I think it's that simple. I don't think these guys are playing three-dimensional chess at all.
I agree with that, but there's okay, here's the thing. Did they have no one who knows anything about the oil industry at the table who's able to say, listen, it's going to take years to upgrade all those refining and processing and drilling facilities in Venezuela? You're not going to see those results in oil prices by the midterms. You're not going to see them within this administration at all.
You're talking about a country that invaded Iraq without knowing that there were 3 types of Islam practiced in that country. We had no idea. We were surprised.
And Bush also thought it was going to cut oil prices. They rose instead.
Well, all the oil that's produced in Afghanistan and Iraq. Oh wait. It's not that much.
Well, Afghanistan will have oil, but that's a whole different.
You think so?
Oh, they have oil in northern Afghanistan. It's just they haven't been able to exploit it.
Shale,
not shit tons. But
Okay.
yeah, no, old fashioned, not fracking.
I think Scott's right. I think that is Trump's knee jerk reaction. He doesn't think far enough ahead to plot out, oh, how long would this take to process this oil? But I think you're right. I think he sees this as a quick hit, but it's also one of those things where
it's not going to work.
Right. It's also one of those things where I just think Trump, like, he sees something that he's believed for a long time, like tariffs. And he just says, I'm doing it. I don't give a shit, And I think with this, it's the same kind of thing. He's like, we've let them deal with the oil. We've been too lenient on that. So we're gonna crack down on it. Or Greenland, or Panama. I mean, we made a sweetheart deal with Panama to give them back the canal. We shouldn't have done that. I mean, like, these are all things that he has had in the back of his mind for decades, and he just decided, with all the freedom he has in the second term, we're gonna do all these things, So I don't think there's as much thought, I don't think there's that much thought about how long it would take or what.
Yeah, no, and then Greenland shaking. I mean,
yeah, let's talk about Greenland.
There's like 102 people who live there. I mean, it's so, and they've been trying propaganda there. I'm not sure if you guys have been keeping up with that story. That's been fascinating. We've been flooding them with "Join America." Right. We're considered the Denmark of North America,
like quite literally. I mean, so also, I mean, so what about the sort of geopolitical implications of destabilizing Venezuela, which is basically like roughly 60% of the country is kind of Chavezistas, right? Like pro, and then the other 40% are right wing and anti. That country could tear itself apart over this as the power vacuum rushes to be filled. Cuba will collapse economically without that Venezuelan oil. And so then that country falls apart. And then the U.S. finds itself in the position of like, oh shit, we have a really big ass Haiti in Venezuela and another big ass Haiti in Cuba. We have another fucking refugee flow, and we have chaos, and we have another, boat lift situation. What the fuck nobody's talking about that yet.
I heard one commentator say that he thinks that all of this is about Cuba, and that it's about Rubio, and Rubio has always had a hard on for Cuba. Well, and so he's influencing Trump in this way. And, and Trump, and, they say that, whoever the last person is that talked to Trump, that they're the ones that get what they need. But I don't know. What do you think about that? You think Cuba is the end game here?
Sure feels like it. It certainly does. And you're right about Rubio coming from South Florida and having the Cuban exile community. So yeah, that makes perfect sense. But and then we can look forward to Cuba Lago, which will be lovely, the most beautiful.
Well, right. He wants to build there. That's the whole thing. This whole thing is let's put up some hotels and some casinos and
if you were, it'll just be like the old days under Batista.
Yeah.
I mean, what I really want to know, and I just did a cartoon about this, is like for next week. I mean, so how's it going to look when the U.S. attacks Greenland, which is Denmark, which is a NATO ally, and we have an obligation to defend Denmark against an attack by us
against ourselves.
And I was kind of like, now the good news is we know a lot about us. And we speak the language. We know where everything is. Probably occupation might be a breeze, but I'm thinking, but we're really evenly matched against us. That's a deep concern for me.
I love that. I'm gonna steal that and draw it tomorrow so that it comes out.
Thank God you were fired.
Oh yeah,
that's very funny. But it is interesting because I do think that, Trump makes no bones about not liking NATO. I mean, he's always
right about that. But
he's what?
No. He's right about it. NATO's obsolete. NATO should have folded up immediately after the Warsaw Pact went away. When the Cold War ended, the need for NATO went away. And I think,
oh, clearly it's not, it hasn't gone away, because look what's happening in Ukraine. I mean, that has, if Ukraine had been a part of NATO, that would have never happened.
Okay, so maybe the Europeans need it, but I don't know why the U.S. needs it.
Oh, I don't. Yeah, I mean, I think it's more the U.S. being the one who. Yeah, right. Exactly.
Why do we need to pay for it? It's not really. I mean, they have money. It's not Europe. It's not like Europe under the Marshall Plan. They have money now.
Yeah, they do. But those bombs don't buy themselves. I'm just wanting to throw that out
that's
there.
Very true. But so I really want to talk to you guys about this shooting of this woman in Minneapolis.
That's the flag of Minnesota, by the way, just so you know.
Oh, is that what that is? I was wondering. Okay, there you go.
It is. It's brand new.
You had to watch your finger in the.
Yeah, I'm going left,
like
right.
Like the weather lady in front of the green screen.
I wasn't sure. Yeah, what were you doing? I was
like sort of.
Anyway, that's their new flag. They just got it a few years ago, which of course the MAGA world is saying it's so woke. I'm going. Yeah. It's a star with the shape of. Anyway, go on, Ted.
Do you like? I mean, I don't think.
Yeah,
that's not straight. It looks like the flag of Tibet or something.
No, it's a good flag. Well, given what was there before, which is all of our state flags, except for mine. Mine is X marks the spot, which helps people sign documents down here. But the Minnesota flag was a blue flag with just the seal in the middle, and right. This is.
I know you hate that.
Well, it's lazy and it's ugly. So this is much more direct. I kind of like it. So go on. Okay, so what's happening in Minnesota?
So obviously we know that this woman, this community activist, was basically tracking, and like a lot of community activists do, tracking ICE goons as they were mooking their way through the community, and then basically they went after her and yelled at her, and some said get out of the car, some said move the car, some said turn, and there was confusion. And it looks like from the video, which I've now watched numerous times, I'm sure you guys have too, that she was just trying to turn around.
Yeah, she was just trying to get out, and
then someone,
and then Secretary
shot her, and then I'm glad you go ahead, Scott.
Noam comes out that day and says, and just lays out a narrative that is empirically untrue.
Right.
I mean, and a friend of mine actually described, who we all know, Patty Vasquez, said that she's standing there in her American Girl outfit. Because she was this huge cowboy hat and this weird little anyway.
God.
And she's the weirdest hair too.
Well, it's
like it's 1981 called and wants
the
its
costumes that she wears is just they're ridiculous.
Yeah, when you go through TSA, you see her on video, and it's like, what the fuck?
Really? Oh,
yeah. They have videos of her playing on loop at the TSA checkpoints.
I want to keep talking about the Minnesotas, but before we end, I wanted to ask, Ted just came back from Canada. I want to know how that crossing went. If they
it was
opened your phone.
No muss, no fuss. I did power down my devices completely, and I was prepared to surrender. I was not going to open my phone for them if they asked. I would have been like, no, you can take my fucking phone, but fuck you, I'm not opening it. But no, nothing happened. But I do have to say, having come back from Canada, I have never seen Canadian nationalism until now. I was in Quebec City, and I watched some local TV, and there were so many TV ads that were like, and in stores, you saw posters like "Made in Canada," 100% Canadian made, and I that has to be a reaction to Trump and all the insults and bullshit that he's unleashed against really our closest ally. I mean, it's insane, and the Canadians are pissed. I mean, and rightly so.
And I think the Minnesota story folds into that whole idea and where we are in a big picture kind of way, which is, Chicago, we've been fighting ICE insurgents and going through there. We actually here in Birmingham had an ICE raid on a Thai restaurant, which gutted the restaurant because apparently if you have coconut in your mussaman, they go bananas down here. And this is the first year. We still have 3 years to go, kids.
I know. That's the part that's amazing to me. I don't even see how, it must have felt like this in Germany in 1934, except they didn't have terms. They didn't know how long any of this was going to last.
Yeah. Well, potentially. Well, we may not either. Don't forget the president has threatened to suspend or cancel the midterms
repeatedly.
Yes. So, and I think we can learn to take him.
And this is really lawless, the Noam thing. I mean, look, to put a fine point on it, not only did she lie, But I mean, whatever happened to, we have a tragic incident, we're going to investigate, we'll get back to you. I mean, like, what's wrong with that? The fact that, like, you and we, the three of us all know there was never a world in which any administration official, including the president, was ever going to say, we're gonna let the professionals do their jobs here. They were going to defend ICE no matter what.
Right.
And that's sick.
But and that is never. You're right. It's never happened in any other administration that I can think of where the first thing out of their mouths is that person is a domestic terrorist, and that's why they're dead.
She weaponized her car.
Yeah. I mean,
which can happen, and that is a thing.
Sure.
You can obviously use as a deadly weapon. This reminds me of is this a Kent State moment?
Yes.
When Kent State happened, I'm not so sure. I'm not hearing a lot.
I think it is. It's because it's a nice white lady from Minnesota. That's why. This isn't like Abrego Garcia, who's kind of like not the most telegenic dude and hits his wife. This is an American citizen. She's white as shit, and she's gay, but she's white as shit. Yeah. So because she's gay, she's a protected minority for woke people, and because she's white, right? So, I mean.
I wonder, because I'm looking, when this happened, went back and looked at coverage from Kent State, and what the reaction was. There was, pardon me, a noted number of people, not a majority by a lot, but still some that would say the 4 students who died at Kent State got what they had coming.
100%.
Didn't Governor Rhodes say that, Ted?
Jim Rhodes actually, he did. And he also before said, what these protesters need is some shooting. And behind the scenes, he did order the National Guard to take out some students when they got a chance. So it wasn't like things didn't get spicy there. I mean, it wasn't like things got out of control and people were scared. This was ordered.
So I'm wondering if this will have the same because let's face it, you see these ICE agents, none of them have matching clothes. I saw a photograph I passed it on to my editor.
That's not the biggest criticism I have of the ICE agents. That
no. Scott's very dapper. If Scott had his own goon army, they would fucking be like tidy.
Oh, they'd look awesome. A lot of gold. No, but seriously, my point with that is that there's not a standard issue uniform for these assholes, that these are jacked up Proud Boys. This is where the advertising is going. And these are the guys who are there.
And people and ex-cops drummed out of the force for being incompetent, stupid, violent.
Right. And so they're hiring these guys in droves. And this is this guy was standing there with his gun drawn. That is so contrary to any kind of law enforcement protocol.
He's not even trained to protect himself. Standing in front of the car is something every cop knows not.
Well, if you look at the video again,
you could have just let her go. Let's just say stipulate. She's being violent. She's trying to hit people with her car. Let's just stipulate that for the sake of argument. That didn't happen, but let's just say that. So then get out of the way and let her leave. You have drones, you have helicopters. You can follow her later if you care.
Pull her over with a police car or something. It's like. Yeah.
Well, the police in different municipalities don't like these guys either, because even police officers are going, these guys are idiots.
This guy's going to be charged by the Minneapolis authorities. No question.
He should be, but
he will be because of the politics. And by the way, for sure. I mean, the mayor has already said that it was bullshit, and the Minnesota Attorney General, total word. The Minnesota AG. Already weighed in and is in favor. And the governor, Tim Walz, he's this will take the Somali shit off the headlines. So it's great for him.
And can you imagine? I don't know. I doubt maybe you guys have. I don't know if you've dived into X or go into any of the MAGA world discussion on this issue this morning, and they're all pissed off. How dare the mayor say fuck? And it's just like going, F-bomb. Dead person.
Dead lady. Yeah.
Well, I was surprised that
mother of 3, by the way.
That MS Now or MSNBC, whatever you want to call it, I was surprised that they let that fly. I mean, they let the F word go on the news.
No one under 70 watches news, so it should be fine.
Yeah. But I imagine on national like NBC, they wouldn't have let that fly, because even in the video they bleeped out the woman yelling the F word.
Really?
Yeah.
See, what do you guys think about? I mean, this has been an issue for us as cartoonists for decades, which is as the culture changes. Some would say coarsens, and I would be among them, but still, that's the paradigm now. That's we fuck now is like, hey, fuck you. It can mean hello. It can mean goodbye. It's like aloha. But we have always kind of been constrained. I know you have, Ted. You've used and Rob, me, and every cartoonist who goes in the general. We still to this day cannot say crap or shit or.
Well,
you want to hear
syndication?
Here's a good one.
No, run it.
Pittsburgh, if you call someone a jagoff, that's supposedly a bad word. And there were a couple of years there where I wasn't allowed to use the word jagoff in the newspaper because of that. And later,
jagoff is dumb.
Yeah. But later they finally said, well, then jagoff I think was like a word in the dictionary or something accepted. So then they allowed it, but yeah, that's
the word pussy into a cartoon in the New York Times Sunday Roundup.
Seriously? The word pussy?
Yeah.
Wait, when was this?
Years ago.
Not a drawing of one, but
in the 2000s, like yeah.
What was the cartoon?
I don't remember, but it's just like basically.
Listen, before we end, speaking of Ted Rall, I have to say this. I was just reading, for some reason, I love John Krakauer, and I was just reading the Pat Tillman book.
Oh God!
And of course, right in the first couple of pages, he says, the whole view of Pat Tillman was either Coulter on the far right saying that he was a hero, or Ted Rall on the left saying he was an idiot. So I thought, good for you, man. You made the book.
Although I have to admit, I never really liked Krakauer after that happened, for the simple reason that he never called, or no one. He never called for comment to ask anything about the cartoon. He assumed he knew my intent, and you're like, if you're not checking out something as easy as that, how can I believe you for other stuff?
That's true. But I mean, he does do his research. I mean, there was a lot of, I don't know if you read the one about the Mormon thing, but a lot of journalists.
I didn't pick it up because of, seriously, I was just like, once I know personally that like a media or a journalist is like not doing their job, like they misspell my name or something, I'm like, I don't know if I take you seriously anymore.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway, I was happy to see your name printed.
Thank you. So. even if it was a little bit of a slag.
Right.
We got a few more minutes. I just want to jump out. Did either of you watch the Trump presser? Yesterday, 2 hours he talked to it was clearly to show just how vigorous and in control he is. Because because they're starting to show up on polls that this guy is Joe Biden it out.
Yeah.
And
I would agree with that.
I would say 2 hours though. But the thing is, it's such a low bar.
Civility doesn't always play out the same way, right? I mean,
no, it doesn't. And the fact is that, but it was all Trumpisms for 2 hours, which is like, would be if any other person, you, me, Rob, anyone was spewing this stuff.
Oh yeah.
Our wives, our spouses would be going, dear, let's go to the doctor. What for?
It was actually, I mean, you alternate between cringe and being terrified and laughing. These
and
are
to
not
have
the reactions you should have to the president of the United States.
In the interviews with Miller recently, that's like, that's his Goebbels. It's just like, the world needs a strong leader.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I'd qualify what's going on now as Trump. This is as strong. I mean, it's just, to me, I'm terrified. As you guys know, I've never been like a huge, like, oh my God, Trump is the devil kind of person. But I'm terrified at the unsteadiness of it, and the unpredictability, and the manic energy, and the fact that, like, I mean, I don't care about the coarseness. I care, but like when you're like talking about, just cavalierly, like we're gonna, we're gonna attack, for example, Russian flagged shipping, World War III. Anyone? I mean, this is all insane.
Yeah. Well, I've talked to both of you privately about leaving the country and having an exit strategy, and I have one now, to encouragement of Ted, to have and I literally have two to three ways to get the hell out of Dodge should things go south. And
should things go south?
Well, but okay, let's put this.
Well, in a way that's personally directed.
South you want to get? You're in Alabama, man.
Yeah. So well, funny. And we all know that's how it's going to come down. It's not going to be an ICE agent at our house. It's going to be some, Yahoo with a red cap who's going to, because Trump said, that Rob, he's a very mean man, very mean to me, but I can't do anything about it. But if something were to happen to him, I wouldn't be too sad. And then some asshole shows up at your house at 3 a.m. That's how it's going to come down. It's not going to be the SA as it was in Germany. It's going to be his minions. And that's what scares me.
You're right. That is,
and we've all had death threats. We've all talked. We've known each other for 30 years now. We've all called. Oh, I got this letter. What should I do? Is this a real threat? But I've never. But it's the ones that don't send you the letters.
I would also
That's what
worry
scares
about
me.
the government goons. I mean, honestly, arrested. ICE has already arrested some U.S. citizens. They've arrested green card holders, which are basically an American citizen who can't vote, right? And I mean, look, he's asked for a 50% defense increase.
I know,
to
holy Mary,
$1.5 trillion. And the Congress, they'll give him more than he asked for, including the Democrats. They'll be like, "Oh, you want 1.6? Done." And
then, build a missile factory in northeastern Wyoming.
As of this year, I apologize. ICE will become the biggest armed military force on Earth. It will be bigger than the People's Army of China. It will be bigger than the army of the Russian Federation that patrols 11 time zones. ICE. What's he going to use that for? Let's say you deport everybody, all the illegals. You think they're just going to go home? They're going to quit? They're going to get fired? No, they're going to turn against us.
Well, I agree. But
Scott, you're the libertarian here.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
The state does not shrink by itself.
Do yourself a favor and go to reason.com, reasonmagazine.com. And they're doing yeoman's work on covering this, because they're the ones who are using, calling all of it what it is, and the danger and the overreach of a federal government that has no right to be doing what it's doing. And apparently we're okay with it. Yeah, so that's reason.
Well, that's the thing too, is there's no opposition movement, right? The Democrats are useless. The Republicans are cowards. The Supreme Court is useless. The press is dead, and there's no left-wing protest movement. There just isn't. Gathering every 3 months for a No Kings Sunday stroll to get your 10,000 steps on your Fitbit doesn't count.
But you don't think that'll change if in November the House and the Senate go Democratic?
Well, only the House will. But we'll just end up with gridlock. All the Democrats are going to do is they're going to impeach Trump, which he says, and he's right. They will.
I hope
and
they
not
don't.
For what they should.
But don't you think that they can pull back some of the things he's done?
They never do. Look at Joe Biden. Joe Biden didn't roll back anything from the
that's not true.
administration.
That is not true, especially on immigration and the border policy.
That's true. You're right about that.
Which was a mistake.
For example, all the tax shit, like where he punished the blue states with the home mortgage stuff, Biden left that in place. I don't trust the Democrats for shit. They're useless.
Well, but I do. I'm not sure I think they're going to take the Senate as well by a vote or two. It's going to be razor thin, but they're going to take the House.
Yeah, then they get investigatory powers.
Well, here's the thing.
Which is useful.
And I think Ted and I were talking about this the other day, and I'm sorry to repeat myself to you, Ted, but if go back, I keep saying this, history teaches us a lot of good lessons, not least of which is look back at the Watergate investigations. Mm-hmm. And it's amazing how serious and judicious it may have even felt plotting. And if you want some comic relief, Watch the faces of the committee when Butterworth revealed that there was a recording system in the Oval Office. Everyone on that committee is like doing ba-da-da, da-da, and they go, what?
I'm going to look at that after this. And I recommend everyone else do that too. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Rob Rogers, formerly of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. Thank you,
of the
Scott
soon to be former Post-Gazette.
Soon to be former Post-Gazette. And I'm sorry for the people of Pittsburgh, but we're all going to be riding that fucking hell car with you very soon. So,
on that note.
So on that pleasant note, we'll be back here with the DMZ America podcast next Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern time. Again, thank you all for watching. I myself will be back for tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. with John Kiriakou for a deprogram. Monday at 9 a.m. And 10 a.m. with TMI with Manila Chan. This is the part where I don't know if you remember Rob, but we get the singing. Let
Rob do it, because Rob is a far better singer. And
what am I doing?
You're extemporizing. You're singing in our 18-second outro, and off we go.
I'm not.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies.
Is coming for amber waves of grain. For purple mountains, majesty, you crazy kooky kids, you.
Ted Rall is